What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you on a Tuesday night. Welcome to News 6 Weather live at 9:30. We are coming at you live on News 6 Plus and on the News 6 YouTube channel. Welcome tonight. Hope everybody's having a great week so far and not falling for some of the scare tactics that are out on the internet. We are going to break everything down when it comes to what is now Tropical Storm Erin. And of course, we're going to talk about our Florida forecast. That's important as well. I think some late night sea breeze action coming down the pipeline for tomorrow. I think one of the classic sea breeze setups coming through. I haven't seen too many of those these year, but I think we're going to fire up the storms along each coast, and then those are going to march inland tomorrow and potentially have a few of those linger. So we're going to break that down first, and then I'm going to spend most of my time on Erin, of course, as that's kind of stealing the headlines, and rightfully so. It's no doubt the most aggressive forecast of the hurricane season so far and has the most upper end potential when it comes to the storm itself. So we're going to be talking about that. I've also seen kind of caution placed across the internet by some people, and then other people I think with concern is, hey, wait a minute. Irma was also supposed to turn. Irma looks a lot like this, um, and it didn't turn. So is Erin going to do the same thing? So I have found in the archives some European ensembles of Irma. We're going to look at those, at the differences between the two coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first, I do want to start with the Florida side of things, and this is what we're dealing with tomorrow. I think this is going to be as we move into 2 o'clock in the morning, so nice and quiet out there. A few scattered thunderstorms try to get going into the afternoon, but by and large, it's going to be the afternoon and evening. And I want to show you this right here. This is going to be the collision coming our way as we get deeper into your afternoon. Both coasts start to light up, and then here we go from Jacksonville down I-95 to the I-4 split, and then look at all these thunderstorms here. So I think a lot of thunderstorms are going to be around tomorrow afternoon into the evening. That is going to be at 7 o'clock. And then once we get into 10, 11, I think we'll start to see things pipe down just a little bit, and then we'll continue to keep that going forward. It's going to be hot through the Florida Peninsula tomorrow. Not so much in the Panhandle. We have some extra cloud cover around. We're going to be back to 92 in Tallahassee. That's right, where we should be for this time of the year. But you will notice there's a little bit of extra heat. We have the orange boxes from Tampa to Orlando to Jacksonville. There's a reason for that. There's a big chunk of high pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that is going to have a part in determining where Erin goes. Okay? I'm going to show you what that means for our heat and where Erin could potentially go coming up in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to get not out of the way, so to speak. But obviously, I want to make sure everyone knows what's coming their way in Florida in terms of our daily thunderstorms for tomorrow, and of course the forecast. That's part of why this show is here. Of course, the second part, we're going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to get my break in super fast tonight. So I'm going to take it right now, because when we come back on the other side of this break, we are going about 15 minutes uninterrupted, all on Tropical Storm Erin, the things that you need to know, the things that you need to watch out for. And I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up so that when you see these model trends, if you like to focus on the models, and you're going to see some of those models in the loop as we had to break in just 1 second. But I want to give you things to look out for yourself so that you can see when these are posted, hey, okay, I think I know what this thing is going to do, or, oh, okay, we saw a model correction. What does this mean? And we're going to break all that down coming up in just 3 minutes. Sorry for the starting of the short fuse break, but I want to have a lot of time to really open up this conversation as we go forward, because there's a lot of, I think, remember, if anybody's seen Mean Girls, whenever they're trying to make fetch happen. I think a lot of people out there are trying to make a Florida landfall happen. I just think that local stations I feel like are trying to do that, not New 6. And certainly a lot of the YouTubers and social media are holding out hope, so to speak, that this thing comes further west, just in the language that I'm seeing. We're going to talk about that, if it's possible, coming up in just 3 minutes. I'll catch you soon. Alrighty, guys, we are so back. Hope you're having a great Tuesday evening. We're going to hop right into it. Keep on posting your comments in the comment section. If there's some interesting comments or questions, I'll pull them over through the next 10 to 12 minutes that we're hanging out. If not, in the question and answer sound off section at the last 5 minutes of the show, I will do that as well. But I do want to get into it. There's a lot of questions on if Erin is coming, and I just want to be clear. There is a ton of uncertainty, but it does not appear that this is a Florida storm. We're going to go over that in just 1 second. Here is the latest on Erin. It is struggling right now. We've talked about this over the last 2 weeks that the main development region in between the Caribbean islands and Africa is not conducive at all to development. So there's Erin, a 45-mile-per-hour storm at this juncture. Here is the swirl, and you can clearly see why. Look at all the dust behind it. It's wrapping some of that drier air into its center, and then there is more dust waiting for it at the end. By the way, this little guy here is a new highlight from the Hurricane Center. Little yellow bubble off the Mexican coastline that could drift up and has a low chance for development. So that was freshly added to the map at 8 o'clock tonight with their outlook. Here is the official forecast. And this is what we all need to be paying attention to here. This is the official stuff. One of the things that we're going to watch, and the general rule here is the weaker the storm is for longer, the further west it will go. So where you're going to see some of the model bouncing over the next couple of days is because it's struggling with what is going on now. The models are. This is the lack of data in the area of the storm. If we had hurricane hunters out there, it's too far out into the ocean. They can't get out that far. If we had data as to how dry that air was, we'd be able to forecast better. Okay, when does this thing start to intensify a little bit? So here we go. Hurricane Center keeping it on Thursday, still a 60-mile-per-hour storm. It's going to be interesting if it makes it that way. And again, the longer it stays a low-end tropical storm with minimal thunderstorm activity around it, the better opportunity it's going to have to ride the southern end of this cone. Okay, remember, the cone is where the forecast center could go. I don't know why that happened. Sorry about that. Where the forecast center could go. So you see, by the time we get to Friday afternoon, it is approaching the Northeast Caribbean, and we are in the cone in the Virgin Islands, northern Puerto Rico. It's crossed far enough south, or it stayed weak enough, long enough, that we have been kind of brought into that possibility along the Northeast Caribbean. By Sunday, the official forecast is for this thing to become a major hurricane somewhere in the extreme southwest Atlantic. Again, it can be anywhere within that cone. Certainly, we don't want it close to land at all. The further south it goes, the closer it has to obviously interact with Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Antigua, Barbuda. But then also, the closer it can get to, the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and possibly Florida. There's a really good question here, and we're going to pull this over because this is going to be the next segment if you stick with me. This is exactly what we talked about at the top. He asked, did Irma have the same early track in predictions? The answer to that is no, and I dug deep into that. And you know what? Let's just get into it right now. I'm gonna pull that over. This is going to be the European ensembles. If you are unaware of what ensembles are, they're the best thing, really the only thing that you should be looking at this juncture. Of course, we want to look at every single piece of data that we have. But what ensembles do, and there are 51 of these lines in the European ensemble suite, okay? Each one has, as a different member, has different initial conditions. This was for Irma. This was back on September 1st, 2017. Okay, I mean, the center of Irma was way, way back at the start of this picture, the start of this graphic. So, I mean, it had a long ways to go before it got to Florida. What you'll notice is that most of those lines curve out to sea. A decent chunk got it to the east coast of Florida, but there were 5 or 6 ensemble members that did have it scraping the north coast of Cuba and then getting into the Southwest Gulf like it did. Okay? So keep that in mind because I'm going to show you the ensembles for Erin. And the reason why ensembles are important is what happened with Irma. Global models like the GFS, especially, and the European struggle with dissecting how strong or weak the Bermuda High is. Obviously, they really messed up with sampling the Bermuda High. It was a lot stronger. The trough coming down to weaken it was also oversampled. And that is why Irma continued west. It was a bad sampling. However, ensembles, since there are different initial conditions in there, it takes into account, okay, well, what if this high pressure that's steering it is stronger than what's being modeled? What if it's weaker? And you come up with those conclusions that, hey, we might have an opportunity, albeit small at this point in the forecast. There's an opportunity to get this thing in the Gulf and ride up and make landfall in Southwest Florida, touching Cuba. Excuse me. I'm going to show you the European ensembles for Erin. Let me dial those up. I have those with me as part of this breakdown. I just have to get back to my other computer. There they are. Okay. Out of the 51 ensembles, one gets maybe close. There'd be impacts there with that one to Florida, Georgia. There's one lone one that would be maybe a little problematic. I mean, that would be problematic. It would make landfall. So the point I'm trying to make is while models whiffed on Irma back in 2017, there was indication that that could happen. There is zero, maybe one indication that it could get close to Florida. And I also want to show you, this is a very helpful thing. There is where the center of Erin is right now. It's loaded on the northern half of the ensembles. Okay? Which is not that one. Let's see. Can we try to follow that? Let me just see. Let's go. This is like playing that game. It's down here, down here, down here. I think we're still following it. Zigzag down here. I think that's it right there. There we go. There we go. Oh man, I lost it. I don't know if you guys are still. It's on the bottom half though. Okay, so there you go. That ensemble that's close to Florida is way on the bottom half of that. So if that member would have to come into fruition, I think Erin would have to be like a couple 100 miles south. Like Erin, the center would have to be down here. It's not doing it. It's not doing it. So this is one of the things that you have to be careful of because these people are making money off of sharing. I saw somebody today. I got to find his name on Twitter because he posted that ensemble. He posted a ridiculous member, an ensemble member. And it's just wild out there these days. But those are the ensembles. Unless we see a big shift, I mean, all of those go back west. I just don't know if that's going to happen. The other thing we have going on here, and this is fast forwarding out to Saturday the 16th, there is this bubble right here. That's the storm. And you'll see what happens. So it gets strong by the islands. And this is the other thing that's different. The high pressure over Florida is kind of moving away. So that, like, as it does that, that helps to open up this escape route, as I like to call it. It's this dip. See these lines right here coming out of the northwest through Montreal, through New York? That is the dip in the jet stream that helps kind of weaken the western side of the Bermuda High a little bit. So this dip in the jet stream, I think, is also bigger than the one that was being forecast for Irma to help weaken that. So there are a couple of differences. One being that we have likely that ridge projected as weaker and or stronger. That's Irma again. 2017, and let me bring up my snip tool, or my telestrator tool. This is what I'm talking about. And this is why early on, you just don't know, because we don't have the data. We don't have a Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And that's why, like, until we get Hurricane Hunter aircraft in there, we're just not going to know where exactly it's going to go. But I just don't think that this is a Florida storm. I want to show you this. The theme is weaker west, stronger north, okay? So these are the actual models. I'm on the wrong screen, so I got to redo that. Sorry about that. This is the tropical index, okay? Where you see the green and yellow is unfavorable for development. That's where Erin is right now. Where you see the peach and red, that's where it becomes favorable. And it's taking into account water temperature, wind shear, moisture in the atmosphere, all of that stuff to come into a nice, easy to understand kind of graphic here. So I overlaid the models, and you'll see for the next day or so, it's kind of still unfavorable. There are the models still northeast of the Caribbean, but now look at the red color showing up. Everywhere, like north of the Greater Antilles and the Western Caribbean, Gulf, and southeast corner of the U.S., all beat red. It's super favorable in that area. Look at what happens. It finds that area, hopefully without skirting the Caribbean islands. It gets strong, and it gets on out of here. Again, even with all that stuff, I'm not going to give it a 100% shot to completely turn and miss Florida. There's like it's 0.001%. I'll never say never until I watch that thing physically start making the turn, okay? It's just something that you always have to watch and have to do. But man, there's no evidence like there was evidence in Irma. Right there. It's right there. And that's what's different. So if you see any of that stuff, like, hey, Irma turn, because I saw the same thing with I think it was Isaias and Andrew. People were saying Andrew didn't, and Isaias was expected to turn, and it did. Andrew was expected to turn, and it didn't. Models are way, way better in 2025 than they were in 2017. It is formed. So that's the thing. So it is formed. We do have a tropical storm. So we have that going for us to find a low level center. But so it is formed. So we do have that. It is, so that's the one thing. You have to wait till it forms. And then the next thing to get more confidence is to get Hurricane Hunter aircraft in that thing so that we can sample it. All right. I rambled on 15 minutes. I have to get a second break in. If you have any questions, post in the comments, but I want to make clear here that there was evidence that Irma was coming to Florida early in its life. And it's right there. I'll show you once again. None of that when it comes to Erin. All members are off the Florida coast. We have one that gets it close, but as we just saw, that is way down here, and Erin is currently way north of that south line. Alrighty, guys, we're back in just 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys. Thank you a ton for the great conversation tonight. Thank you for all the questions. Again, you guys make this show awesome and interactive, so I really appreciate you being here. Again, here's some of the takeaways that I want you to know going forward. I know a lot of people like to look at the models, and there's a lot of stuff out on social media. So just know that the longer the storm stays weak, the models will likely continue to trend further to the south and west. So we likely may see a west trend continue. That's okay because that's built into the ensembles. We just don't want to get it far enough west that it starts impacting the Caribbean at all, because we do think that it is going to get strong pretty fast once it gets to around the Caribbean. The models are going to continue to go back and forth, especially until we get Hurricane Hunter aircraft in the storm. That may happen this weekend. As it gets closer, it's got to be close enough to land so they can take off and refuel. And we'll be waiting for that anxiously, because once we get that, that's critical data. And then be careful with social media. That's a big one. People get money for those nasty thumbnails, okay? People get ad revenue for that. That's why they do it, because people click. Know your source. I hope that you trust us at News 6. I really do. I'm going to sound like a flight attendant. I know you have many, many sources when you get your weather, and that's great. That's awesome. But just find someone that you trust. I saw a lot of stuff from local stations today that I was not happy with, that just had arrows to Florida. And again, I can't with 100% certainty say that it's not, but I'm 99.9% sure. And again, this is different than Irma, because again, as I keep on saying, Irma, there was at least some indication that that thing was going to keep going west. I don't see that with Erin. I don't. And it's 2025 versus 2017. The models are better. That is why, and I'll leave it with this, that federal funding for NOAA research when it comes to hurricanes and weather, critical, because we can make that call earlier because of all of that research and making these models better, and just learning the science more, learning about the ocean atmosphere interaction that all of that research is going. So NOAA research is critical. Guys, I want to thank you so much. We're back here tomorrow at 9:30. We're also going to have the latest track from the Hurricane Center. If you're interested in that, at 11 o'clock. If you're outside the greater Central Florida area, dial up News 6 Plus. It's a free download. And we are going to obviously talk more about Erin and our daily thunderstorms tomorrow, because that is also, of course, important, because it'll impact your evening, I think. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the questions. If you want more, we're here every Monday through Friday at 9:30 right here on this channel. Please consider subscribing. Hit that thumbs up button. I'll catch you tomorrow. And of course, we're going to have the latest on this, and we're going to see what kind of trend, if any, happened overnight. Take it easy, guys. Oh, by the way, we might see it strengthen a little bit. It was holding its own in a bad environment, and once night falls, that's when these things typically perk up. So you might see it look a little healthier on satellite. That's okay, and we would actually like it to get strong and go nuts and get the heck on out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, or at 10, or at 11. See you guys.